So I'm a bit confused, guys, and a little bit concerned. So I want to talk about this topic because I think occasionally these polls that I put out on my YouTube channel can show clearly a line in the sand that I think really does divide our community up a little bit in terms of a perception, an awareness, and maybe just a point of view on not just the sync licensing industry or the music business in general, but like business, just overall business in general, or incentives, or you could even go extrapolate bigger to capitalism, right? So this is a kind of a mindset shift that I made early on in my career, and I think it's what allowed me to really thrive with sync licensing. And I saw this poll, the results of this poll that I put out recently, and it kind of made me think we might have a large number of people following me on this channel that have a mindset that's going to get in your way for success. So if you disagree with me after this video, please comment below. I would love to just have a conversation. Honestly, maybe there's something that I'm missing here. I could be totally wrong. I always have to open up the door in my mind for that possibility because I've been wrong many times in my life. But I do think there's a potential, just honestly, I think there's a problem here. And I think this is kind of a mindset problem that can get in a lot of your guys' way. So let's talk about it. I recently put out a poll asking what is your opinion on BMI upping their membership fee to join to $75. Before many years, it was $50. And actually before that, when I joined about 12 years ago, it was actually free. So it was free for a long time. ASCAP, I think, was the only one that was charging for a while. And then BMI has now been sort of incrementally upping their one-time membership fee. This isn't like an annual fee that you pay or anything like that. $75. So this is what was concerning. The vast majority of you, 38%, said that it's greedy, that they're charging members to join. Let's talk about that in a second. My answer for them upping that rate is it makes sense, as it only ensures that serious writers and publishers join. If you're not aware, the BMI has about like a little over 1 million publishers and writers that have joined them. I don't know the official numbers of how many of those members are actively, consistently getting new tracks registered and actually pulling in royalties and being active in their career. I don't know. I think it's probably 10 to 25%, to be honest with you. I can't imagine that 2 million members are all extremely active. I know that when people are wanting to get serious about their music career, they hear about BMI or ASCAP and they just go register, but then there's no sort of step 2 in that process. They just think, well, I need to potentially collect royalties, so I'll just do that. So I think that's what a vast majority of people are doing, especially when it's free. You can just upload your data. Now you become another line in an Excel sheet for BMI to basically have to look out for. You know, you don't have to pay that fee. You get your IPI number, and then you feel like you're at least prepared for something, right? I think the vast majority of people are not doing much with their account. They're just sort of registered, and it's sort of a ghost account. And then a good number of you guys just didn't have an opinion on it. That's okay. Maybe after this video you will. That'll be interesting. I want to hear from you if you do, so please do comment. So this is why it's concerning for me, though. Yes, free obviously was better than $75. Like everybody can probably agree on that. So if you got a free account with BMI, then congratulations, you know, that was kind of cool. But $75, is this really a sign of greed from BMI? Are they really charging an outrageous fee for the services and the value that they're providing you? And yes, I'm talking to you, the person that's watching this video. I would say they could charge $1,000 and still be undercharging for the services that they provide. I bet they could go up to $5,000, maybe even $10,000 for what they do. If you're not aware of what BMI or ASCAP does, I think because they're kind of, these are not perfect companies. Okay, you guys know that. I've talked many times about some of their flaws, lack of transparency, and it takes forever to get paid, you know, with our royalties. So we know that they're not perfect, but they're the only game in town right now. So love them or hate them, we've got to work with them and we got to be appreciative for what they can do for us. And they do a lot of amazing things for us. But we kind of tend to think that we're just anonymously or working with this company that's just sort of like a corporate entity and there aren't human beings there. And this thing called BMI, this blob, amorphous blob, just kind of hovers around and goes and collects royalties for us and then just deposit it back to us. And we don't really think about the work that involves. So let's talk about that for a second. What is happening at BMI? Like, what are these people doing in their offices or remotely, wherever they work? What are they doing all day? Well, they're not an amorphous blob floating around, okay? They are human beings that are having to go collect and negotiate contracts with networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, the networks, all the cable channels, okay? MTV, ESPN, whatever, CNN, MSNBC, Nickelodeon, all the hundreds of channels that are out there. They're negotiating with them. They're also going to the streaming networks, negotiating with them. They're also going to radio stations. Any sort of public performance, even like major retail and in restaurants and that kind of thing. Anything that qualifies as a public performance, they are going out to the corporate headquarters of these companies and negotiating and saying, hey, you want to use some of the music in our catalog? Great. You're going to pay us an upfront blanket fee to cover that. And they have to negotiate that. They got to get it under contract. They got to make sure that the fees are paid on time. So that's step one. Do you have time to do that? I definitely don't. I don't know a single human being who makes music who has anything close to that level of free time and ability to go out and individually negotiate and try to get all those contracts signed. And not just once. You're going to have to do that consistently on at least an annual basis, right? Maybe even quarterly or biannually. But you're going to have to do that consistently over and over again, okay? Secondly, they're in charge of making sure that cue sheets get delivered and turned into them and get processed, okay? Doesn't sound like a lot. Cue sheets, what's the big deal? It's all handmade at this point. It's all done by humans and it's all entered by humans. I think at some point some AI technology will be able to help speed that up. But for the vast majority of the time that BMI and ASCAP have been in operation, these are human beings that are entering this data into their database and making sure that it's lining up the best they possibly can with the writers and publishers that they have. And then, of course, they don't transparently let us know what these formulas are for how they divvy up, what our royalty amounts are going to be, but they are definitely doing that and applying it to all of these. And of course, making sure that we get paid, and they're either cutting out checks to all of us or they're doing direct deposit. Okay. So that's a lot of work. I'm exhausted thinking about that much work that they're actually doing for us. And they're going to do all that for you for $75 for the rest of your music career if you want to. If you want to stay with BMI for the rest of your music career, they'll keep doing that for you. It's a one-time fee. They'll do all that work for you for $75. Of course, they're going to take their, now they're going to be starting upping it to 15% of your royalties, but they're obviously not taking any of that money until they have, you have earned some income. So it's one of those things where they don't earn unless you earn. So that's one of those beautiful partnerships. But yeah, they're going to charge you $75 to get their butts off the couch, off of their chair, and start advocating for you and potentially start getting you paid out. Now, the second poll that I put after this one was, sort of a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek saying, is your career worth a one-time $75 investment? Is all of your future royalties, which if you're doing this seriously, you're expecting to earn at least thousands, hopefully tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands, again, over the course of your career. Is that upside worth a limited and one-time $75 downside? Let's call it a downside. It's really an investment, but let's call it a cost, an expense, all right? Is your future career, the one that you get one of, your one lifetime that you have, all of that amazing future income you're going to get? You tell me that's not worth $75 one time? And I don't really understand the people that are saying, well, $75, that's just a lot of money. I can't come up with that. Even people that are flat, dead broke, have not a dime to their name. You can get creative and figure out a way to scrap together $75, all right? You've got friends, colleagues, relatives, cousins, parents, grandparents, maybe change in your couch that you can scrounge up over the course of a couple of months. If music is that important to you, if making a full-time income with your music has been your dream and your passion and your goal for most of your life, and you're telling me that because it's $75 to at least have a company like BMI represent you and potentially get you into that game, that's a barrier too high for you. Maybe you're not that serious about music. I'll be honest. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Maybe music was sort of a pipe dream. It was exciting. And the minute that some actual real investment of money and some time, and we're not talking about thousands of dollars, again, 75, and some time and maybe doing a little bit of a side hustle to earn that extra $75, mowing some neighbors' lawns. Like, if it's too much for you to do that, this is probably not going to be working out for you in the long run. I'll be honest, because you're going to have much bigger obstacles than a $75 fee in this business. You're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to get rejected. You're going to get passed over. You're going to have missing royalties. I can't tell you guys. I can't even calculate how many, probably tens of thousands of dollars I don't have in my bank account because cue sheets weren't turned in. My track got wrongly registered to somebody else. International placements that I'll never know about, that'll never get transferred over to me because there's just no way to track most of the stuff going on in the international markets. You're going to lose out on a lot more than $75 in your career. So this is where I get a little bit concerned for some of you guys that are holding on to this mentality. And I think really at the core, if we kind of go a little bit deeper, what bothers me about it is that, while you and me as songwriters and as producers, we want to get paid, right? We want our 100% writer share if we're the only writer. We want sync fees. We want consideration fees. Like, we want to be valued for the value that we provide to these libraries. Why are we putting a company like BMI in like some other category? Like, as if they're not providing value to us, so they shouldn't charge that $75 fee to ensure that only people that are really pulling their weight and really, are serious about their industry, their career, are, putting themselves into their system. Why are we putting them in some other category where they're greedy for asking for that $75, but we're not, right? Because we want to get paid adequately. But if they want to have a little bit of a, incentive to make sure that only the right people are joining them, they're greedy now. I just don't buy it. I don't understand it. And it definitely seems like a big hypocritical move that a lot of people are making. So that's where I probably pissed off a good number of you, and maybe I needed to. I don't know. We'll find out. So I'm curious, where are you now after watching this video? Do you still think that it's greedy, this $75 fee? Have you changed your tune a little bit? Maybe you are really, really not happy with me. If you're really pissed at me and you really think that I'm way off base here, maybe I'm not the right channel for you. I'll be honest. Like, I want to make sure that the people that are kind of resonating with me, resonating with our community, are not just kind of pointing our fingers at other people and saying they're greedy and they're terrible and they're blah, 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 blah. And yet not like sort of internally, going through a little bit of a dissection of ourselves to say, are we understanding the value that they're bringing us? And if we really don't think that their value is there, like if you don't think that BMI provides $75 worth of value for you, great, don't sign up for them. But you don't need to complain about it. You can just go work with ASCAP. You can go work with CSAC. You can go work with whatever PRO you want to, okay? But I think that if we want to be valued, and basically paid adequately and fairly, whatever that word means, but, we feel good about the income that we earn from the amount of work and effort and value that we're providing for the TV and film industry, then we should also be feeling that like BMI should have a little piece of that as well. And also the production music libraries that we work with, this kind of mindset shift I've talked to you guys about, where signing over your publishing to a publisher, to a music production library kind of feels icky to a lot of people in the beginning. And my mindset shift has been, well, you're now creating a partnership, a 50-50 partnership, where you're incentivizing, key word here, incentivizing them to really go out and hustle to secure you placements, because they're not getting paid unless you get paid. So in a way, you've basically got these kind of employees working on your behalf, advocating for you, essentially for free. Like, you don't have to pay them up front to go do that shopping for you. They're incentivized themselves because they're going to actually get paid if you get paid. Once you figure that out, that one, it's simple, but it's sometimes really hard for musicians and producers to figure out. But once you get that figured out, the world really opens up to you, and you start realizing that becoming serviceable and useful and relevant for people, and making their lives better, you are excited to help them grow. You want them to really make money with your content because you know that you're going to make money with your content. So I see the same thing with BMI, where they are like my core partner essentially in this industry. I don't have a career. I don't have full-time income with music. I don't have a chance or a prayer of that without a BMI, or in the original, my first couple of years, ASCAP. So what are your other options? What are your other plans for doing this thing? So please, let's talk about it. You might not agree with me, and that's okay. Obviously, if you keep things respectful, I would love to talk with you. So please do comment below. Let's get this conversation started. I'd love to see maybe where I've missed something here. That would be really interesting to me.